I'd like to thank the audience for coming to join us today. Now, some of you come because you read my blog, so thank you. The famous scientist Albert Einstein once said, this is a dangerous world, not because there are evil people around, but because there are so many other people who do nothing about it. Now in Singapore, I want to call on many people to ask ourselves whether we have people who are suffering from injustice, people who have been cheated of their money, people who are struggling through hard times. For the other people to ask, do we sit down and do nothing? Or do we want to come forward and express, raise this issue to talk about it? And this is why I accepted the invitation by the organizers to come and speak today. The topic given is challenges facing the alternative and the opposition parties. Now, 30 years ago, many people were proud to be Singaporeans. They identified with our country, they identified with our elected leaders, and they identified with a shared goal. I belong to that generation. In recent years, there was a widening gap between our government leaders and the people. This is reflected in the high protest votes and general election, the large numbers of people that migrated to other countries. It's also reflected in the surveys people respond in my blog. And if you come to my blog, you will see quite a number of surveys, and they tell you what the ordinary people are thinking on many issues. The alternative parties, I prefer not to use the word opposition. I prefer to use alternative parties. Now, the alternative parties have benefited from the protest votes against the ruling party. However, this is not sufficient because the alternative parties have not been able to attract the middle ground. These are the people who want to see a viable alternative to run Singapore. I think our various leaders of the alternative parties have mentioned this in their speeches before me. Now the people ask the following questions. I think many of you ask, and of course this is what in conversation people ask. Can we see a higher caliber of candidates in the alternative parties? What do the alternative parties stand for? Can they play an effective role in Parliament? Can they form an alternative government? These are the questions being asked the last 20 years. The alternative parties face a big challenge in responding to these questions. They find it difficult to draw on the support of the wider population. Many ordinary citizens do not wish to be associated with politics, especially with alternative political parties. Why? They are afraid of being discriminated in their jobs, in their business. So the alternative parties find it so difficult to attract members, active members, except for a few people like Kin Lian, very few. So many people don't want to come forward. Now what can a party do? if you don't have sufficient people resources and financial resources. It is very tough. This is why so difficult to make headway among the two elected members of parliament, also so difficult over the last 2 decades. Given this situation, what can we do? And I want to suggest some ideas. The alternative parties should focus on an educational effort. I think the word education is raised by a few people. Now my friends ask me, why can't I just take it easy? Why do I want to be an activist, and why do I want to get myself into trouble? I say that my role is to educate people. And what am I educating people? I want to educate Singaporeans about their role, their responsibility, and their rights as citizens. And I just say my job is to educate people, and that education includes how to be a considerate citizen, how to take care of other people, not just taking care of ourselves, how to have that concern for other people.